I don't know about you guys, but it being election season, it just feels to me like a certain narrative is going to start being thrown out there. And let's just go ahead and be honest. It's the old narrative that, quite frankly, they love to go to.
What we're doing is really, really not working.
People who want to elect Donald Trump as president, it is not the job of the news media to prevent that from happening. It's the job of Biden and the people around him. So I applaud this. I think that is the right. But I wanted to get you guys on this. If you really, I mean, it is a reasonable question. If you really don't want Trump to be elected, should you just be quiet about the other side's flaws?
Everything they touch turns to what? You shouldn't use that kind of language. Look, you can't use the word shit, okay?
So let me just go ahead and tell you exactly what kind of narrative is going to be used this time around. Well, actually what I should say instead is the good old-fashioned narrative that they, quite frankly, love to cling to, which I will explain in the course of this video here. So make sure you guys stick around for the full bit. And, oh, by the way, before we look at some of this, I want to just go ahead and say this right now. To all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Just figured I'd go ahead and say it. Now let's get to it. So you guys obviously saw a little bit of Carville, you saw Bill Maher, you saw Trump at his New Jersey rally, which of course I'm going to be talking a little bit about, not that much, but it seems to me that these people are gearing up for an extremely negative presidential campaign this cycle. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be letting you guys know towards the end of the video exactly how the week is going to go. This is going to be a week where I got to go to the doctor and I got to do a bit of travel, and so obviously the videos are going to be a little bit less. But obviously, like I said before, I'm going to try to get out one very, very well-edited video a day, at least through the summertime going into early fall, at least until now, because I think it's much, much better if I just give you guys a quality video rather than giving you guys two videos that, quite frankly, I have got to kind of respond and react to. It's not that I'm not trying to make good content or anything like that. It's just the fact that during the day, the amount of time I have, it leaves me less time to kind of put things together. So now that I've got a lot more time, I want to go ahead and kind of start that process of essays and stuff like that. I want to go ahead and start that process now over the summer. Now, let's get back to the topic. So I'm pretty sure you guys all remember Russia. Oh, wait, that's right. Yeah, we got to impeach him because he was going to withhold payments or withhold, well, not payments, but withhold weapons in exchange for intel on Biden. Of course, Biden right now is kind of breaking that own rule by withholding weapons shipments to Israel at this moment in time, which, by the way, he could also be impeached for. And I think there's even an effort to do so, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now it's kind of fruitless and probably won't go anywhere. But before I get to Bill Maher, before I get to this nice little gem right...
Majority of Americans are skeptical that Trump will be able to get a fair trial, according to a CNN poll. And the trials against him keep him in the spotlight, infuriate his base, who sees him as a martyr, and even may serve to make him the object of some sympathy among people in general who believe that his prosecutors are politically motivated. This happens to be true, in my opinion. I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump.
I want to take you through what they are going to be doing this cycle, seeing how it is that Stormy Daniels is kind of blowing up in their face right now, seeing how it is that the Georgia case at this moment in time pretty much is dead. And also to go on top of that there, it seems like Jack Smith's recent revelations on the Mar-a-Lago situation are not exactly going very well either. It seems to me like these cases are, in fact, falling apart. And as I've been saying the entire time, these cases, these indictments against former President Trump would not work. I mean, dude, the guy literally just did a rally in New Jersey, Wildwood, New Jersey, and there's actually strategic importance behind that. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is going to turn the state of Jersey, which, by the way, is very blue. I'm not saying he's going to be turning it red. I'm just simply saying, given the fact that it's South Jersey and given the fact that you've got a lot of Philadelphia suburbs that are right there close to that area, and a lot of people from Philadelphia go to vacation there during the summer, this time of the year, him holding a rally there. There's obviously some strategic importance, but I'll go ahead and let the news media cover some of that.
At the convention center, just minutes from here in 2020, but this one is right on the beach. Thousands of people have packed the sand behind me. I'll step out of the way so you can see as we are awaiting the former president to speak. We did, though, take a look at the boardwalk today, and I can tell you it was filled with locals and visitors, plenty of them coming in for this rally and dressed for it. Some just here for a cheer competition or in town or a weekend at the shore, but being greeted by a lot of Trump supporters who had come into town or live nearby. Now, New Jersey is not considered a swing state. It's traditionally pretty blue, but this particular county, Cape May County, went for Trump in 2020 by about the same margin President Biden won the state of New Jersey. This rally is also drawing.
Now, there are people out there on the internet that are saying 100,000 people, or obviously, the crowd that they claim they have is AI generated or whatnot. But still, though, it's a pretty daggone crowd, as you guys will see here in a second. But I want you guys to know something really quick. When you're looking at the next half of what I just showed you, I want you guys to know, just pay very close attention to what the woman says at the very, very end, because this right here is actually what's happening. And of course, that right there is also showing up in the poll numbers. And what I mean by that is that former President Donald Trump actually has a literal, honest to God base of support that's actually loyal to him, where Joe Biden, on the other hand, actually does not have an actual base that's loyal to him. But let me go ahead and play this.
Again, we are awaiting at this point the former president to speak to this crowd. The rally started around 2 o'clock with some pre-show. He was expected to speak around 5, so we're a little late at this point. We're still awaiting his speech here. He is holding this rally today while his hush money trial in New York is not in session. And I spent some time today talking to some of his supporters about how they feel about that. Are you guys watching any of that? Are you keeping track of what's going on?
Disgrace what they're doing to him. A disgrace.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. So,
Are you concerned at all that he could be convicted on this or any of the other cases?
I don't know. I would love to see them put him in jail. I would love to see what would happen and give him more supporters, I think.
What that old woman said right there at the very end, that right there is what the hell it actually boils down to. It boils down to the fact that Trump has got a much, much loyal base that will show up and vote for him regardless, meaning that they will walk through fire to go vote for him. Now, some people will say that that base wasn't around in 2022, and I'll agree it was not. It's because Trump wasn't on the ballot. That is the main reason why. We can have a discussion about that in future videos if you guys want to at a later date, or possibly do some video essays or some content on that topic. But the point is this right here. Everything that the mainstream media is throwing at the former president, everything that the current administration is throwing at the president is not working, as you guys are seeing the Real Clear Politics average. And of course, the Biden administration, they are going to tout the one poll that came out from Quinnipiac. The poll that had Biden up by 6 in Wisconsin. But I hate to tell you guys this. Quinnipiac University has never been a polling institute that has been known for accuracy. So when Aaron Burnett questioned Joe Biden about this the other day, you shouldn't be surprised by his answer.
On the economy, they say that in polls. And part of the reason for that may be the numbers. And you're aware of many of these, of course. The cost of buying a home in the United States is double what it was when you look at your monthly costs from before the pandemic. Real income, when you account for inflation, is actually down since you took office. Economic growth last week, far short of expectations. Consumer confidence, maybe no surprise, is near a 2-year low. With less than 6 months to go to Election Day, are you worried that you're running out of time to turn that around?
We've already turned it around. Look at the Michigan survey. For 65% of American people think they're in good shape economically. They think the nation's not in good shape, but they're personally in good shape. The polling data has been
living in absolute la-la land. Now, I don't fully believe polls. I'm not into the whole believe everything that I see that comes up by the mainstream media as far as what the numbers are saying, but let's just go ahead and be honest. These polls that tend to be somewhat, how do I say, indicative of what the country feels, and they also tend to shape the actual environment itself. Typically, this is one of the reasons why is that you have a crowd of people that says that polls are accurate, but in reality, you have to actually read the crosstabs to actually get the real numbers, and you'll see why. Just figure I'd go ahead and get that point out of the way before we really dig into this topic. So, here's the thing. You've got a current administration that also says other little gems like people have got the money to pay for everything that's going on. The inflation is through the roof. You're seeing that, and of course, there's some additional word coming out. I want to kind of wait before I talk about this, but right now at this moment in time, The inflation rate's at right around 3.6%. The Fed is holding up on cutting rates because they're expecting inflation to be at above 4% going into the next quarter. They're also expecting it to continue to rise further and further and further the closer we get to Election Day. And obviously the price of gas is not going down. The price of eggs is not going down. The price of everything is not going down. But of course, you've got an administration at this moment in time that's absolutely, completely, totally delusional, and they believe that money just grows on trees. Grows on trees is what I meant to actually say. But right now I'm just kind of having some issues with my voice. Like I said, I've got to go to the doctor this week, and it may be something else to talk about when I get there on later on this week. But still, the point is this right here. Everything that they're throwing at the former president just is not working. I mean, just listen to this little bit from Carville.
Trump's more ahead than he's ever been. Fewer people think January 6th was any kind of what it was, as an assault on the temple of democracy, the Constitution. I don't know what the fuck you want to say. It's going the wrong way. It's not working. Everything that we're throwing is spaghetti at a wall, and none of it is sticking, me included.
Carville, by the way, is kind of the only one at this moment in time on that side of the aisle that seems to have a brain for strategy. And if he is absolutely lost, even in his old age, then that means the Democratic Party as a whole is lost. But then again, though, I also remember James Carville getting in trouble for saying that the problem that the Democratic Party is having at this moment in time is all the stupid wokeness, which, by the way, will be another topic we'll be talking about in a later day here soon, because I think wokeness is actually dying, but what comes afterwards could be just as bad. The point is this right here. Carville at this moment in time, while being viewed as a sacred cow, actually knows what he's talking about when it comes to that side of the aisle's politics. But of course, you've got people like Roland Martin and them who come out there and attack him and call him a dinosaur, call him racist and all kinds, which, by the way, he probably is. But still, the point is this right here. Carville's actually been correct about his side's politics. The problem is at this moment in time, he's kind of lost because guess what? Trump's popularity continues to go up higher and higher and higher, which has got people like Bill Maher and the mainstream media absolutely baffled. Now, before I talk about Bill Maher, I need to show you guys this right here, because CNN had a bit of a meltdown a few days ago when they actually saw that this particular topic, and I know what you guys are probably thinking, democracy is not exactly working out for them. So let's go ahead and roll this first part.
And said that they worry about President Biden weakening democracy than Trump, 53% to 42%. What do you make of this?
I find it shocking, honestly. I can't, make sense of that number. I wish I could. I wish I could have some really great insight to it. But I don't know if it's an outlier or not, because the other numbers with independents and Biden are going in the right direction. So that may be it. But also, just one thing I wanted to add on to what Basil said. This trial's not on TV. You guys do a great job reporting what's happening. But if there aren't those images coming out of the courthouse, people feel like they know this story. We've heard about it for a long time. So it doesn't surprise me that they're not interested.
Well, thank you both so much for being here.
I think I said CNN. That was MSNBC. That was MSNBC that was reporting on that. I mean, last I heard, Donald Trump was the threat to democracy. And yet one of their own polls is showing that people are more concerned about Biden being a threat to democracy. Oh, wait, that's right. CNN also had a meltdown, too, when they got to Biden's other problem, which, by the way, we'll be discussing much, much more in detail this week. But let me roll that one for you.
President Biden's getting squeezed from both ends here.
He's getting squeezed from both ends. I think it's important to note. Let's look at the choice for president in 2024 among Biden's 2020 voters, all right? Because I think this sort of illustrates sort of how Biden's getting pushed a little bit. So if you like Biden on the Israel-Gaza war, look at that. He's getting 87% of the vote. RFK Jr. is getting 8%. Donald Trump way down here at 4%. But if you dislike Biden, if you disapprove of the job he's doing on the Israel-Gaza war, look at this. He's getting just 50% of that vote. My goodness gracious. These are people who voted for him last time. RFK Jr. is getting 20%. This is just a 30-point margin compared to a 79-point margin among those who approve of Biden on the Israel-Gaza war. This is a huge dividing line within the Democratic Party, and that's something, of course, we're seeing right now between the progressive wing and those more centrist or mainstream Democrats.
And as a confession,
go back to what I said at the very beginning of the video. I said that Trump had a much, much more hardcore base, meaning that Trump's base would be more willing to show up and vote for him. A lot of Gen Z liberals, college campus liberals, are going to be voting for Cornel West this cycle. Just saying. A lot of them are also going to be voting for RFK. You see, in order to pull off what they pulled off in 2020, which, by the way, Time Magazine did, in fact, they did an article. Actually, they did an entire piece on the shadow campaign. You still had to have people, actual boots on the ground, to actually physically pull it off. This requires a video more about the actual narrative. What I'm trying to say to you guys is that they have obviously got to build a brand new narrative, seeing how it is that everything that they're throwing at this man is not working. But speaking of the rest of that CNN rant, make sure you guys pay attention to the second half, because it's pretty obvious that the sticking points that the Biden administration is trying to use, that they have to use, are obviously not working, meaning that we're about to have probably the most negative presidential election cycle since 2012. But let me roll the other end.
We're such nerds that occasionally Harry sends me some of this data. And the number that jumped out here, RFK at 20% among people, Democrats who voted for Biden in 2020 and dislike him on the Biden war. I think your next slide points to a little bit of what's going on here.
What exactly is cooking? Why do they dislike Biden on Israel? Okay. America's support for Israel is, now this is among 2020 Biden voters who are currently not voting for him. So it's those dislike, those disapprovals. Take a look here. Do you believe that America's support for Israel is too much? The clear majority, 60% of those folks who are currently not voting for Biden, but did last time around, say that America's support for Israel is too much. Just 24% say about right. You get this 4% who say not enough. But this group is double the size of the about right and not enough combined. And a lot of those folks at this particular point aren't necessarily going for Donald Trump. They're going for RFK.
I got to say that not enough is virtually nothing here. In general, what is Biden's support among those who were with him before?
Yeah. This, I think, is the key point. Biden versus Trump 2024 poll margin. The reason Trump's ahead, he's holding on to more of his base right now. That 2020 voters leading by 81 points. Biden's just holding on, winning among that group by 73 points. That's the story of this election. It's why Trump is in much.
Basically, what it's showing you is that Trump's base, for the most part, is still intact. Many people believe that the issue of Israel, Gaza, Palestinians, many people believe that that issue right there was going to doom Biden's administration. And let me go ahead and say this right before I get to Bill Maher, because he had Douglas Murray on. And I wouldn't even really classify the guy as a beta. I think he's less than a beta. And they were raising hell about the orange man again. And of course, Stormy Daniels and accepting election results, stuff like that right there, obviously came back up too. And I have a pretty good idea. I know exactly what's going to happen there. I want to go ahead and say this right now. This video right here could very, very well be a prediction that I will probably, or a video that I'll look back on and make a prediction from. So make sure you guys, like I said, we got a lot to go through. So make sure you guys pay attention to the very, very end. What I wanted to say was this right here. Back during, I want to say it was right after Biden got elected, I knew that the Biden administration would not survive 2 terms, or they would not make it to 2 terms. The reason why is because if you know Joe Biden, you know how incompetent he is, and then you know that Jimmy Carter 2.0 would probably be a lot worse than Jimmy Carter 2.0. This is something that Steven Crowder also called on his show right after Biden got sworn in. He was probably going to be a very, very weak, ineffective president, extremely feckless, or he would actually try to cater to the far left, which is exactly what he did, and it would even be way worse, and the American people would outright reject it. The point is this right here. Most of us called this, and most of us did not believe Biden would win in 2024. However, when we got closer to 2022, some of our minds began to change depending on the actual outlook. The problem was, at the time, the base was not motivated enough. So anytime they did these indictments on former President Trump, where they brought up porn stars from 2006 that, quite frankly, had been in people's minds for a very long time, to the point where they, quite frankly, don't care, it shouldn't surprise you that Trump is doing as good as he is. So at the end of the day, the media kind of did it to themselves, which is something that I kind of put in the actual title of this video, or at least in the thumbnail, that they did this crap to themselves. But speaking of doing it to themselves, before we get to all the other stuff in this video, let's roll this first one from Bill Maher, because obviously Stormy Daniels, that whole situation, is back up in the news. And instead of, let's just say, testifying against the Donald the way she actually wanted to, based upon her previous attorney, Michael Avenatti, who, by the way, has actually turned and flipped on her, they decided to go the route of Me Too. Roughly 1 minute and 38 seconds. I don't have headers over it because I've got words in it, but I didn't put them there. I took it from somebody else, so just know it's not an original clip.
And first I asked her why she had sex with Trump. Listen to that, and then listen to what she says after that, and then we're going to talk about the trial, because it's quite at variance of what she said to me in 2018. Why did you Donald Trump?
I have no idea.
Okay, but you say it's not a Me Too case.
It is not a Me Too case. I mean, I wasn't assaulted. I wasn't attacked or raped or coerced or blackmailed. They tried to shove me in the Me Too box to further their own agenda. And first of all, I didn't want any part of that because it's not the truth, and I'm not a victim in that regard.
That's not what she's saying now. She's talking about he was bigger and blocking the way. It's all the Me Too buzzwords. She said there was a imbalance of power, for sure. My hands were shaking so hard. She said she blacked out. Blacked out? She's a porn star. I don't think sex...
That doesn't mean she's been subjected to the likes of Donald Trump. I might black out too.
Do you really think she blacked out? I mean, a porn star is used to having sex with people she does not know. That's the job. It's kind of like Stormy Bob Stormy.
And there was a lot more to extrapolate, not just from that conversation, but a lot more to extrapolate from the entire segment itself that he had with Douglas Murray and the other guy, which we'll talk to in a second. There's something that needs to be said, too, about the whole Stormy Daniels situation. I kind of said this earlier. Nobody really and truly cares. You see, when you got Trump out there and outside the courthouse, and, he goes out there and he talks to firefighters, he talks to construction workers. He's out there doing little events out there in Spanish Harlem, going to the bodega. He does stuff like that there. The only thing you're doing is making the guy more popular, and I'm a Trump voter, and I'm not trying to make a comparison between Donald Trump and John Gotti, but I hate to tell you this. The Teflon Don, that right there being Gotti, he got popular in the 80s because the mainstream media kept on giving him exposure during these trials. Like I said, I'm not saying the two are the same or anything like that, but obviously you can draw parallels because, let's be honest, the more and more you put Trump on television, the more and more he comes out here and tells you what's going on. The mainstream media, of course, they recently came out and said that Stormy Daniels being there was an absolute disaster. It kind of makes everything that Trump has said turn out to be actually true. You're basically confirming everything the man is saying, and obviously the people at home are watching. But that right there brings me to the narrative. What are they going to do if these people will lose? Well, before they do that, like I said before, they're going to run an extremely negative campaign. And of course, to go on top of that, people obviously know the mainstream media is biased. So when Bill Maher is having a conversation with a couple of people, one of them, of course, from England who's on the right, and another person who's, well, as you guys kind of see for yourself, you shouldn't be surprised that these people are sitting here kind of looking for answers that, quite frankly, have not become clear to them, because guess what? Those answers don't freaking exist because they've done this crap to themselves. But now that these court cases have failed, now that Stormy Daniels has failed, now that the economy is fully in the gutter, it's actually really below the daggone gutter. It's probably in the freaking abyss. Now that everything has fallen apart, it seems to me that these people only have one thing to blame. And that right there is Russia, which, by the way, everybody meddles in elections. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We have to do all kinds of checks to keep countries from meddling in our elections, but obviously they do. But I think the biggest meddler is obviously, you know who, I can't say the rest. But the fact of the matter is that these people are going to run out of narratives. They're going to run out of things to say. So they're probably going to lose and take the loss for a second or a day and then turn right back around and blame the Russians again. Just saying that there. It's going to be Russians, and it's going to be people wearing MAGA hats, and it's going to be this person and that person. The fact of the matter is that they're already working on a narrative for when they lose. So go ahead and get ready for it after this extremely negative campaign. And by the way, negative campaigns normally never lead to any type of victory. They turn people off. It's just the way that it is. With that right there being said, guys, let me go ahead and give you guys a couple of quick updates, and then I'm going to go ahead and close this video. This week, Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm going to be having two separate videos out on the left and Islam, meaning what they get wrong about Islam. On Thursday, I'm going to be having a video out on why nobody wants to join, that right there being the military. And on Friday, I'm going to be talking about the right and their problem that they've been having with Israel as well. So make sure you guys stick around for all that. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please share the video. Please sign off in the comment section. And I'll see you guys later.